Okay, guys, so today is Friday the 13th. At the moment, the time is 8:30 in the evening, and we have one last time frame to look at if anything is going to occur today, and that's, in my interpretation, 12 o'clock midnight in the UK and 7 p.m. on the East Coast United States, more specifically, most likely, Florida. I've put it on this scene because this is the scene that the George Bush character is pointing at. The four things: Florida, the ocean, the shark, which represents a submarine, and the burning house. Now, on the burning house, we can interpret the flames as the number 3, which I have done before, but there's another way of looking at it, which is looking at it as the letter M. And obviously, if we're thinking about him, the George Bush character, pointing at all four things: Florida, the ocean, a house, and a shark, which represents a submarine. And if the house does have an M in the flames next to it, then we could be looking at Mara Lago. And obviously, that would connect with the Russian propaganda video, which showed a strike on Florida, where Mara Lago is. Donald Trump isn't there at the moment, conveniently. He's over here in the UK. So that may be the connections for 7 o'clock on the East Coast, Florida, Mar-a-Lago in particular. And then we have the 12 o'clock reference for the UK. As I said, the shark seems to be slightly made up of sevens and a representation of the UK pound coin. Above the shark, we have an airborne missile, also male genitalia, a penis. But I think that's kind of a tongue-in-cheek insult, if you will, because where they've drawn it, the images on the background, it appears right on the man's forehead, which I have believed and I'm starting to think again could be Vladimir Putin. There is a lot of people that don't want Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin to meet for all sorts of reasons. And it could be that after they meet, something goes wrong. Obviously, we've just had the indictment as well from Robert Mueller against another set of Russians, and who knows where that could lead in terms of sanctions, retaliation, what have you. But back to the 12 o'clock for the UK. So we're looking at this missile here, which could make up August the 3rd or Friday the 13th. But they've also drawn the middle of the penis where the sperm will come out. They've kind of drawn it as one single line going from here, hooking round and coming down here. And that's why you can see the earth is drawn darker than this line over here. And the way it hooks round, it could represent an L, and L does represent the 12th letter of the alphabet, which could be pointing us to the number 12. And when you think about that, obviously, that brings us back to the LC scene, the multiple interpretations we've done for this particular video, especially this scene here. Again, could represent 12, could represent lunar calendar, could represent 3 o'clock, or it could represent the number 7. It's been drawn in such a way that you can't say, yes, it's this, because you just don't know what the intentions of this, the maker of this video was. But we're trying to break it down, which is why we do so many videos on it. But we have the 7 on Obama's foot, and Obama is an American, despite what some people say. He was born in Hawaii, and Hawaii is a US state, the 50th state, which, you know, could be in some trouble if this video is connecting it to a devastating volcanic event. But down here we have the pound coin. Thing not talked about so much, I mentioned a really long time, last year sometime in one of my videos, is that Obama's foot size is 12. Now that may not be significant, but we have a size 12 foot covering the pound, and on top of that we have the number 7, an X going across in connection, because the shadow comes from the leaf, so it's in connection with this apple, and the apple may be connected to the eclipse that's coming in terms of the blood moon that it's going to create, and the fact that Mars is coming the closest it has been in the last 15 years, and it's going to be the brightest it has been. Not only that, if it is connected with an eclipse, then last year there was the Great American Eclipse, which connected with other eclipses creates an X across the United States of America. So it could be in connection with that. That's a bit of a far-reaching one, but it could be. But for now, we've got the 7 on top of Obama, who's American, connected to Hawaii. There's all sorts of chain connections here, which could mean something in the United States, 7 o'clock. And then we have this size 12 foot on top of the pound coin, which is obviously connected to the UK, which could suggest something at 12 o'clock in the UK. Now, that would make sense because the United States is 5 hours behind the UK, so 12 o'clock here would be 7 o'clock over there. And then we come outside the classroom, and obviously we've got the clear reference to the clock tower, which, if we're talking about instantly recognizable clock tower, Big Ben is one of those, probably the most famous. It stopped at 12 o'clock on the 21st of August last year for renovations for 4 years. And in this video we have this clock tower at 12 o'clock covered in snow in white, which suggests it's frozen. So frozen at 12, the same as Big Ben. I've mentioned all this before, but not in this sort of way where it's 12 o'clock UK, 7 o'clock East Coast. Now, that interpretation stands with the other interpretations and could be shifted over to the next timeline, which is July 27th to August the 4th. But if it is talking about today, if the missile is referencing Friday the 13th, and the L does reference 12 connected to the UK, and the 7, which the shark's body is made up out of, does represent 7 in connection with the United States, in particular Florida, which the M may connect to Mara Lago, then I think we should stay watchful for today for at least a couple more hours. As I said, at the moment it's, well, time's changed obviously. The time now is 8:42 over here in the UK, so there's not that long left to go until 12 o'clock midnight over here, and obviously the same will be said for 7 o'clock over in the East Coast of the United States. So I just wanted to make that video, update the times. This is obviously the last possible time it can be, if it's going to be Friday the 13th in the UK and the United States. Otherwise it will be Saturday the 14th over here once it passes 12 o'clock, and then the interpretation will no longer work for this video. So remain watchful. I know it's taxing looking at all these different things, especially if you are actively preparing. You know, that kind of thing can be quite stressful, but you know, the Bible is clear that the times we're in are not going to be easy times, and a lot of people are going to fall away, you know, because of inequities, because of different reasons, and you see that happening actively. In my comments, you know, sometimes I can see people, they may be genuine, they may be not, but you know, they'll be on board 1 minute and then next minute they're not. Obviously that could be a tactic in terms of building up trust between people and then breaking it down, you know, trying to negatively affect the YouTube user or the YouTube maker of the videos. Or it could be genuine in the fact that, you know, you've looked at so many dates so many times and nothing in that sense has happened, so you kind of just think, well, there's nothing to see here, and it comes down to that boy cried wolf scenario, but you know, at the end of the day, we're just trying to interpret a video that we had no input in making, and therefore we're on the outside trying to break into this code. We try our best. So you guys, with all that being said, I think I'll leave it there. Have a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and may the Heavenly Father bless you.